And what I mean by that is, somebody says, hey, Dov, do you want to go skiing? And I go, sure, you're cute. I'll go skiing. Now, I don't particularly like skiing, but I'll go skiing because I want to be with you. Now, that's great because that gives us an opportunity to open up and discover new things about ourselves, and that's fantastic. But it's very important to say, generally speaking, not keen on skiing. Let's be honest about it. Not keen on it, but I'll go with you because I want to be with you, and maybe I'll discover something about it that I didn't know before, and maybe I'll enjoy it.
Yeah.
That way, if I drop out of it a year later, I can, I told you, I was honest with you, that's not really my gig. So part of the challenge is that we don't really show up real at the beginning of a relationship we want to impress.
Yeah.
I understand that, but you still got to...
Okay, so what happens if I'm showing up?
Yeah.
Right? Let's say that I'm just the type of person where I'm out there, I speak my mind, I just do whatever, that's just the way I am. Now, what about the other person?
And that's the challenge. So you can certainly monitor yourself and do that. And one of the key things, and you'll know this, Shane, and I'm sure you do, Scott, too, is to ask questions and to really pay attention to answers. Now, when I say that, because what you were just talking about, matching in values. And we do a whole thing around matching in values. We do it in several of our programs. In our relationship program, we talk about relational values, which are different than life values. But let's, for instance, say that we're discussing it, and you're out on a date, and you meet somebody, and let's say your value is family, and you start talking to that person, and you discover they say, "Oh yeah, that's very important to me. Family is very important to me." And it's easy at that point to jump to the assumption we have a match in values.
Right.
That's not true. Because that is what I call the label on the box. The label on the box says family. On your box it says family, on my box it says family. Great, we have a match. Open up the box, we may find this very different. So for instance, if somebody says to me, is family a high value for you? It's in my top 10. It's not my number one, it's in my top 10. And I say to that person, well, what is it for you? Oh, it's definitely in my top 10. In fact, it's in my top 5. Fabulous. Do we have a match? Apparently, surfacely. Now I say to you, well, what does family mean to you? Because that's an important question. And that's how you get to check whether somebody shows up. What does that mean to you? This is what is going to decide what's in the box. Well, family means to me that I have to live close to my mom. I have to be in touch with my dad every day. My brothers and sisters and I hang out every Sunday for lunch. That kind of thing. Okay, that's what family means to you. Oh, well, what does it mean to you? Well, family to me means that I have a spiritual family. These are people that I have a connection with who are not related to me necessarily by blood. They're the people that I like to hang out with who we are supportive to each other of our growth and of our development. We joke around, we can play around, but we can be very deep and very serious. That's family to me. Oh. Well, what about your blood family? Well, they live in other countries, and it doesn't matter if I don't see them, particularly every Sunday. Now we find we've got a very big mismatch.
Right.
The labels match, the contents didn't. And that's a very important thing when it comes to relationships, is to ask that second question. So not only what is the most important thing to you, but what does that mean to you?
I think that's very important. What I've seen happen on my date, because I know some of this, and I asked those questions. And when I asked those questions, what I really seen was she actually listened to me and repeated the question back to me, and then she started answering. And she was really listening. She was really taking it in. As I calibrated her, she was taking it all in. And that was really important to me.
That's a great key. Because, when I was saying before about, hi, I'm Bob, who do you want me to be? When people introduce themselves to us, or when we're having a discussion, particularly when we want to impress, we actually don't listen, as you well know. We don't listen to the other person. What we're actually doing is we're thinking about, wow, what's the right answer?
Right. What do I want to hear?
Oh my God, you're good looking. I got to say the right thing here, right? So actually noticing that person is paying attention is phenomenal, right? Because it does tell you a lot. It does. That's a great insight. So that when you talk about before about those deal breakers. We talk about the relationships, particularly for a single person, is like shopping when you're hungry. I don't know if any of you have ever shopped when you're hungry.
It's a bad time to shop.
Because you are coming home with baskets full of all kinds of crap you do not want.
I don't even get home. I just eat it in the cart.
You just put those empty wrappers through the checkout. Isn't this damaged, sir? No, I ate it. Okay. But there's 17 bags of cookies here, sir. They're all empty. I ate it. Do you like cookies, sir? No, I don't eat them. So, you're right. I mean, that's what it is. We shop when we're hungry, and we do the same in a relationship. We're emotionally hungry, and we shop. And we all know that if you go shopping with a good shopping list, you know specifically what you want. And what we recommend to everybody is develop a shopping list for relationship. And do that not specifically focus on, oh yeah, I'm dating John, I should do the shopping list, and then base the whole bloody shopping list around John.
Right.
It has to be neutral. And what I always say to people is, here's our guidelines for it. Make a list, write everything you want, be as deep and be as superficial as you like. It's your list. It's okay.
I agree.
So just anything. So if you like tall, but that's kind of superficial, I don't care. Write tall. If you like dark-skinned, write dark-skinned. Or light-skinned. If you think that's superficial, it's okay. It's your list. It's not about being politically correct. Write what you want. Then go through that list. My list, when I met my partner, had 58 things on it. Go through that list and find out through that list what you call deal breakers, what I call non-negotiables.
Right.
Go through the list and find out what is absolutely, totally, completely non-negotiable. Highlight that as non-negotiable. And that is where you'll test yourself. Then after that, you have something called high preference. So you've got non-negotiable, high preference, and then bonus. So anything else that's left is just a bonus.
Yeah.
Right.
So on my list, as I said, I had 58 things. 15 of those were non-negotiable. Now, my wife had all 15 non-negotiables, hence we're married. But I can tell you that I dated a couple of girls who had about 13 of the non-negotiables. Well, you can imagine what my head played with that one.
Right.
Oh, you know, I mean, is that really that important? I mean, you've got these 13 things. And we start negotiating our values away. We start negotiating our joy away because this is going to be good, but those two things will eat away at the relationship later.
Yeah, I think you just made a really, really good point when you said negotiate your joy away. Because when you're looking at those non-negotiables, and even the bonuses and the preferences, those are things that will bring you your happiness and your fulfillment and your actualization and all those things. And when you don't have it and you're missing it in that person, it's like there's a hole in your life.
Exactly. So you've got to, it's like you've got to have those certain things. And once you get that, so like, you know, on mine, non-negotiable was, a couple of them were spiritual, hence it was non-negotiable. Couldn't do without that. On the path, personal development, non-negotiable. Non-smoker, non-negotiable. That was for me.
Right.
Those are not right or wrong, they were just mine.
Yeah.
There were just three or so of the 15. There was also high preferences. Now, high preference for me, just a personal preference, not particularly politically correct, but I liked women of color. All right, so that was on my high preference list. What I can tell you is, and this is how I know it was a high preference and not a non-negotiable, was if I'd have met a partner who had my 15 non-negotiables, but she was not of color, if she was a white person, I think I still would have found her deliciously attractive.
Right.
I know that would happen. So that just became a high preference. And then after that, you know, there were things that were just bonuses that would be cool, that would be nice. So on my bonus list was speaks more than one language. Now I always say how you know something is just a bonus or a benefit is if you're asking for something that you don't particularly have yourself yet. So I speak English, a little bit of Yiddish, and a lot of rubbish. Those are my three languages. I speak probably a sentence in about 8 or 9 languages, but not much more than a sentence.
Yeah. Right.
My wife actually speaks about 4 or 5 languages.
Speaks them well.
She speaks 3 of them very well, 2 of them a heck of a lot better than I do, but good enough that she can have conversations with people of that nationality. That's how I knew it was. Those were just a benefit, a bonus.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So, you know.